That's what I heard anyway. I don't know if it's true. On your left, Russell Lee, Grix's Death Shadow.
This is a matchup when Shadow was really more prominent in the format. I really like the Shadow side of things.
Yeah.
Though you did sideboard some ceremonious rejections back then. Lee has some disdainful strokes, no rejections.
Yeah, I think the rejections get a lot worse when all the artifact decks are Urza. You know, Disdainful Stroke's actually quite good against them because Urza is the card that matters the most. Temur Battle Rage, Royal Scions help you get over all of those token generators, so you really just have to worry about the big payoffs, and Urza is their big payoff.
Now, this is one of the ways you can lose the game. Fronsee on the play, Power Plant map. Very live for that turn 3 Tron.
I'm very curious how many times he mulliganed, or if he mulliganed, because I personally have won 3 games playing Tron in the last couple of weeks on a mull to 3. That's wild.
That's not very many cards.
No, it is not. It was Tron map, but all 3 times. Or Tron once upon a time, depending. Well, I guess Adam Fronsee didn't mulligan enough. Maybe he didn't get the memo. If you don't have turn 3 Tron, ship it back!
You might have mulliganed too much.
Maybe.
If this was like a 3 or 4 card hand. Anyway, Forest was
Perhaps.
the second land. You hate to see that.
Gonna have turn 4 Tron rolled up, though, and if he has Ugin as the payoff instead of Karn, then it's not that big a deal.
I'm hearing both players kept 7. That's strike 1, Adam.
Yeah. I mean, you get to London Mulligan now.
It's a privilege.
It is.
Don't squander it.
I'm getting hot over here.
See Lee fetch shock into 14. He knows that Tron on turn 4 is looming. Fronsee picked up another piece off of an Ancient Stirrings. Thoughtseize. Take a look at that hand. Can't take the Tron piece, but you got a pick of a couple different Karns and a Wormcoil Engine.
Yeah, but none of these are really... I mean, you can take one Karn, maybe Stubborn Denial, the other Karn, something like that, but like 3 payoffs is not really what you want to see when your opponent has Tron when you're going to strip them. Of course, Fronsee does have to take the next turn off to assemble the Tron, and the Wormcoil Engine actually, off the Thoughtseize, makes a lot of sense because it's going to be pretty hard for him to attack through it. And if he draws a backup Stubborn Denial at some point, he may be able to counter both Karns. Second Thoughtseize, though, does take care of the Creator. Now he's going to be left with Tron at the ready and a Karn liberated in hand.
Something I was looking into, something that you saw fluctuated in number main side a fair amount with Shadow, is where and how many Kolaghan's commands are registered. And that's the kind of card that does line up well against Karn 4. However, they're both in Lee's sideboard. He doesn't have Artifact Destruction in the main deck.
I wish you'd give me one little moment to chime in there, because I was going to guess that there were 0 copies in his main deck. Because that card seems like you're trying to grind. This format does not seem like you should be trying to grind too much.
Just get him dead. Just get him dead.
Cards like Thoughtseize, Stubborn Denial, that's just so that things don't go haywire, right? Just to buy you a little bit of time so you can kill them with a Shadow. Kolaghan's Command, you're expecting to play a longer game.
Right. See Fronsee picks up Oblivion Stone off another Ancient Stirrings. That one's a less threatening payoff. Lee will want to do something about this Karn liberated. Another Fetch Shock, Blood Crypt to go with those 2 Watery Graves. Lee down to 7 now. 3 Fetch Shocks and a Thoughtseize. 2 Thoughtseizes, rather.
Might be a time for a Gurmag Angler from Russell. And if he has Stubborn Denial at the ready, this could be a great way to 1-2 punch Adam Fronsee right out the gate.
So there is the Gurmangler. Serum Vision's left behind in the graveyard. Blue mana left up. Fronsee's going to crack the map. Goes, finds the tower. Tron online next turn.
Right. And that's going to allow him to either cast the Oblivion Stone or the Karn. Can't play both. Going to have access to 8 mana. But if he goes for Oblivion Stone, Russell may be incentivized to Stubborn Denial it.
So there's the stone. Stubborn Denial is fired off. And Sylvan Scrying the follow-up. It looked like he might have drawn another Oblivion Stone the way he tapped there, but it's just a Scrying.
You can go get Blast Zone, which can check a Death Shadow, but that's not what's going to be beating him down here. Might want to go get Sanctum of Ugin if there is one in the deck. I know the lands have been kind of fluctuating a lot recently in this deck. It looks like he just has Ghost Quarter Blast Zone, so that's not really an option for him.
I think that kind of speaks to what you were saying about Kolaghan's Command. you're not really trying to grind. You're trying to just get your Tron online and just cast haymakers.
Yeah, and you have 1 quarter for the mirror, 1 blast zone to potentially shut down stuff like Shadow or Bogles or what have you.
There's an attack with the Angler from Lee. Fronsee to 15, and just to tap Steam Vents. Lee not expecting to cast a Death Shadow and maintain it in this game.
Hilariously enough, Fronsee does have enough time, if he so chooses, to just start churning up the blast zone. And he can kill that Gurmag Angler before it kills him, but I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna go for some haymakers here. If you're a Tron guy, you go for the big splashy plays. You just always gotta.
That's what you came here to do. Here's Karn. Snapcaster Mage, Stubborn Denial. No thank you, says Lee.
Yeah, and that was exactly how Russell Lee drew it up, folks. Attack for 7 here is going to put Fronsee down to 8 life. Just out of range on the follow-up attack, but if Russell's able to cobble together 1 more point of pressure or 1 more piece of protection, I think he should be in good shape.
Well, I think he's a bit flooded in this game. You saw him cycle a Street Wraith to 5, plays a Swamp. Attacks for 7 and commits a second Gurmag Angler, so Fronsee to 8.
Now this does shut down the ability of Karn Liberated to get Fronsee out of the spot, but an Oblivion Stone off the top. Ugin the Spirit Dragon has a 7 loyalty, so could potentially take care of the Gurmags and the Snapcaster, but it would cost the entire Ugin the Spirit Dragon.
So the draw was Once Upon a Time. Fronsee has 1 mana floating, but the card types that selects, that's not going to be good enough. It misses on all the Planeswalkers, misses on Oblivion Stone, and it might have missed entirely. Fronsee's is picking them up.
Yeah, it basically had to hit Wormcoil or Thragtusk. 1 Wormcoil was already down. Effectively had 4 hits in the deck for it to be good. And there you're really seeing the downside of building your mono green Tron deck with a bunch of Planeswalkers and having Once Upon a Time still in your deck. You have to, in my opinion, you have to choose one or the other. A lot of Thragtusk and Ulamog the Ceaseless Hungers, or a lot of Planeswalkers. Here, Fronsee trying to basically walk the tightrope, and it bit him there.
Yeah, it didn't work out. Players are going to go for their sideboards. Russell Lee now up a game. Looking at 3 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Plague Engineer, 2 Abrade, 2 Collective Brutality, 2 Kolaghan's Command, a Terminate, a Spell Snare, a Liliana the Last Hope, and a Duress.
Here you want the pieces of interaction that are good against these big rampy colorless decks. Disdainful Stroke, obviously a slam dunk. Duress, pretty good. Takes most of the things that aren't Wormcoil Engine or Thragtusk. I don't think I would bother with the likes of Kolaghan's Command or Abrade. I think on the draw specifically, they don't hit Expedition Map, which is the card you care about the most. And you don't always get to hit Oblivion Stone at the times that you need to be able to hit it. So I would just not worry about Oblivion Stone. Just let it get you if it gets you. Bring in the Duress and the Disdainful Strokes and board out some of the spot removal like Fatal Push.
Sideboard for Fronsee, 3 Leyline of the Void, 2 Nature's Claim, a Dismember, a Wormcoil Engine, that's number 4, Mycosynth Lattice, Orbs of Warding.
Don't know what that one does.
Same. Mystic Forge, Ensnaring Bridge, Phyrexian Revoker, Liquid Metal Coating, Walking Ballista, and Chalice of the Void.
One of the problems, basically, of playing a deck with a big tutor package is that sometimes, you know, people find the card from an old Cold Snap set or whatever that you just forgot about. Think Viridian Longbow with the Devoted Druid package. Some people just didn't know that card existed. If you didn't draft Mirrodin block back then, there's no way you know that card exists, right? Here we have Orbs of Warding, which I'm sure we'll get on screen for you in just a few minutes after we talk about it, so I'm just going to ignore it for now. But if I'm Adam Fronsee, this sideboard is not really built to sideboard, right? Like you're built to Karn the Great Creator. Leyline of the Void though is okay. Does shut down Snapcaster Mage.
I was gonna guess it. This is what I thought it was.
Does shut down Snapcaster Mage and Gurmag Angler, so it might be worth bringing in, but I don't think I would. The Dismembers, the Wormcoil Engine, I could see those coming in.
So it's the 5 mana counterpart. You see a lot of Witchbane orbs. Orbs. I played a lot of Magic Origins Limited, so I passed a fair number of Orbs of Warding.
So it's like a 5 mana version of the 2 mana hate card that came out. Where wasn't there like a 2 mana one that was like, no, you can't be grape shotted, you can't be hit with
the Amulet of Safekeeping. I mean, Hexproof's a bit different.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit. It's a little bit different. 5 mana is also a little bit different than 4.
I think we're looking at strike 2 here. Fronsee leading on Forest Ancient Stirrings.
Well, okay. I'm gonna need to know how many cards are in this guy's hand. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Too many.
Yeah.
Too many for a forest.
6. Okay, and he played the forest. Look, I know it's outside assistance if I go over and yell at him, but I might take the hit, you know?
Yeah.
Just throw me out the building.
There's a threshold where, you know, you just got to do it. Couple bobbles for Lee. Now knows the top card of both players' libraries. Plays a Bloodstained Mire. The question is, does he like his?
Well, he's really contemplating a fetch here. I think he has a Thoughtseize and is just going to choose to draw the card. Or not. Never mind. I lied.
Fetch to 19. This Watery Grave, it might be tapped, might be untapped. Hard to say. It's untapped. Lead at 17. And this was at upkeep, it looks like. So drawing a couple cards before Fronsee's draw step. Another Ancient Stirrings for Fronsee, and Stubborn Denial. Get out of here with that. No second land for Fronsee? My word, what is happening?
He's playing Tron like it's 2017. That's all I know.
Lee bobbles self. Plays another Bloodstained Mire. Passes, draws the card, likes it. Chromatic Star for Fronsee. Will Lee fight over that? He will. Stubborn Denial again.
Yeah, this is all about just stifling any development that Fronsee could cobble together here. Those Stubborn Denials are usually meant to counter those big planeswalkers, but with Fronsee, with just a force on the battlefield, there's not a whole lot he can do. And if you keep them from drawing cards and finding the lands, then that's about as good as countering something like Karn later on.
Lee plays another fetch land, a little shortcut on the fetching. Fetch shock, fetch shock. Blood Crypt, Watery Grave number 2. Down to 11 is Lee, and here's 2 Death Shadows.
Draw for Fronsee, and this might be all she wrote.
He's not even close to activating a Blast Zone, you know? He's just kind of 100 miles from all the things that his deck does. Ghost Quarter's not much help either.
I mean, it's a bit unfortunate, but I think this is just also a great learning experience. For those of you who want to pick up a deck like Mono Green Tron, if your hand is borderline, just mulligan. If it's borderline, just mulligan. The London Mulligan lets you see so many more cards, so many more combinations of cards. And I can tell you from experience that basically the only thing that matters in Tron is assembling the mana. Your deck has so many payoffs that all you really need to worry about at any given time in the early turns when you're mulliganing is assembling the mana, and then the payoffs will just come eventually.
Saw Lee shock off of Steam Vents to 9. 8 points came across, Fronsee to 12. And here's an Expedition map that Lee doesn't really care much about. He's going to fire off an Abrade into 2 mana because whatever.
Well, it's just because he's going to untap Battle Rage for the win.
Yeah,
so.
Make sure your mana's tapped down. Here's a Battle Rage. 4, 4, 4. That's 12. Russell Lee. Quick 2 over Adam Fronsee. Grist's Shadow taking down Mono Green Tron.
It's kind of what I thought was going to happen. You know, Shadow, I think, does punish a lot of these decks that are a bit slow to develop, that are based around non-creatures for the most part. Like Game 1, Russell Lee might have been scared of that Wormcoil engine, but thought